Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. And I wanted to go ahead and start working on some pattern drafting tutorials, and my first tutorial is going to be on how I made a wrap top. Okay, so I do want to go ahead and explain. I am using my half scale pattern that you can actually go ahead and download over on my Ko-fi account if you would like, but I am going to go ahead and trace out the bodice front for this, and I am going to go ahead and trace out both sides of it, both the left and right side. That way I am able to make a asymmetric pattern. This is not the same on both sides. Now you see that I went ahead and marked off 1.5 inches. You can choose exactly how far you want to go on your own pattern. I went 3 inches on my personal, and I did make this as a personal wrap top also. I will have video of me at the end in my version of it, and actually my cutting is done with my version. But you're going to want to make your own decisions on where you want to have the wrap end, and I would suggest at least 1 inch high, so that way you're able to add in a closure of some sort. I go ahead and use a tie for mine. That way I'm able to tie it, and I used a buttonhole and everything for mine. You are going to want to swing all of your darts closed and open them up into the shoulder. I do go ahead and close a little bit on the front of this. That way it doesn't gape. On my half scale, I should have gone ahead and done a little bit more. My version, I did the correct amount for my body. I will have a tutorial on finding out how much contouring you need to do on your patterns for your own body, but that's going to come out later. I do go ahead and draw a new line going across that front dart. That way I have a straight line instead of having it go up over my bust. I didn't want it to go over my bust. I want it to go slightly under. And I am going to go ahead and open these up. I went ahead and did pleats for my personal version. You will see in the first video when you first clicked into this that I did gathering for the half scale version, and that's simply for ease of construction of the half scale. But you can actually go ahead and do gathering for your own version if you prefer the look of gathers over pleats. One thing that you're also going to need to make a decision on here is, do you want to line this fully? If you want to just serge and roll the hem all the way around like I did with my half scale version, or like my full scale, I went ahead and did a bias tape hem all the way around this top. It came out wonderful. Now for the peplum part of this top, I did go ahead and just turn the hem. But here is the finished bodice, and we're going to go ahead and mark out some information of the grain line and the fact that you need to cut 2 of this. Now if you're lining it, you do need to go ahead and cut 4. Now for the back, if you go and purchase my sloper sets, or if you're following along and you've purchased my half scale pattern, it does come with a shoulder dart, and we are going to want to go ahead and remove that shoulder dart from this pattern, and I will show you how we do that here in just a second. Now, as I said, I do have a set of basic slopers that you're able to download, fit to your body, and print out onto this cardstock, or I've used poster board. That way it's a harder copy and it's easier to trace out if you're going to be doing a lot of pattern drafting. I like pattern drafting over purchasing patterns, other than I love finding vintage patterns, and I am a subscriber to Bodice Charm Patterns on her Patreon, and I do download some of her other patterns at the same time also. Now, if you notice, I did trim off part of the neck. I did that to both the front and the back. It looked like I only used 1/2 inch here, which is actually what I did. I did actually, for this version, used 1/4 inch, but for some reason it actually kind of looks like I used 1/2 inch. Now, here you see where I have drawn the line from the shoulder dart all the way down to the center back, and I'm going to just go ahead and close that itty bitty dart, and that way you're not having to do another dart on the back of this bodice. It makes it so much easier. And then I went ahead and pleated the back of this bodice for my rep top. You are going to want to cut this on the fold, and let's go ahead and start working on the peplum. Now for this one, once again, this is the center front, well, this skirt front pattern, and you're going to want to go ahead and flip it over and trace out both sides, because this is going to be different for it. Now, if you know where your hip measurement is, go ahead and mark that, or if you want a little bit of a shorter top, you can. I traced mine down to my hip level. This one, I just kind of estimated where I wanted it. And then I'm drawing some lines, and I'm going to go ahead and cut and spread all of this in order to make a peplum, and remove those darts because we don't want to use those darts. Here I'm going to go ahead and cut into the darts and then turn it around and cut to but not through, like I did accidentally here. It's a little bit easy to fix this if you accidentally do it. Do cut all the way through because you have the lines and everything that you need. But when you're doing this part where you're going to flare out your pattern, be very careful not to cut all the way through. I've done that a couple of times with the different ones. And I apologize for my nail polish. I really need to repaint, but I got a new job and I'm opening boxes a lot, so my nails are constantly having damage right now from the new job until I kind of figure out what I'm doing. And you're going to want to spread this out to the desired amount that you want to have flare for your peplum. I didn't want a whole lot of flare for mine personally, but I did want some flare. And you're going to want to try and do this as evenly as you can. You can probably go ahead and create this on the fold and then flip it over and do it again. I am going to go ahead right here and figure out exactly how far I need to have the peplum start to do the swing, because once again, this is a rep top. It doesn't go all the way over to your other side seam. I am using my French curve in order to make this curve, tape everything down, and then I'm going to finish cutting everything out. Now, one thing that I have done with my new pattern set that I have, I've gone ahead and added seam allowance. This version didn't have seam allowance, so it was a little annoying to sew, but it was still doable. But if you go ahead and make your own basic blocks, basic sloper, whatever you want to call it, go ahead and add seam allowance, and that way you're not having to add seam allowance to the whole pattern every single time that you end up doing this. I'm just taping down all my little floopies to make sure that this is a little bit easier to actually cut. I did go ahead, and that first video that you saw is actually my half scale. I will show you the full scale version. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for the back. This one I am going to go ahead and do on the fold. That way I'm not having to go back and forth. It's easier. I am using the front as a guide for where I want my hip line. I draw it straight across and then I drop it down 1/2 inch. I like to have a little bit further down in the back than I do in the front, so that is why I'm curving that back up to the hip line. And once again, you're going to want to draw your lines for your pattern to figure out exactly how much flare you want for the back. I didn't add a lot of flare, but you can. If you want to have a lot of volume at the bottom, add as much flare as you want. You can pretty much make this into a circle skirt and have extra volume and be extra with your top. You can also turn around and make this into a wrap dress if you want to go ahead and do a full-length skirt instead of a peplum for my top. If you've noticed, I accidentally ripped off the end of this and I'm having to be careful to line it back up. Like I was saying earlier, I did go ahead and get a little part-time job here locally in my town because, as a lot of y'all know, James did pass away, so we've lost a lot of our income. And if you want to support us, I do have a coffee account that you can go to. You can purchase a couple of patterns. You can support me by just buying me a coffee and things along those lines. And at some point I would like to be able to do this full time, but right now I did have to go and get a part-time job in order to be able to support my family and make sure my bills are paid. So I'm going to try and make sure I am putting out at least one video a week on pattern drafting, fitting, things along those lines. Always remember, you do have the closet historian, that she does pattern drafting just like this also. Actually, she's who I learned a lot of my pattern drafting from and gave me the inspiration to start doing this for myself, and I wanted to bring you along on the journey of me doing this also. Now, here you see me working with the basic sleeve, and I am only doing 1 inch here on my personal one. I did go ahead and do a 2 inches down from the bicep line. And then we are going to flare this in order to make a flutter sleeve. I didn't want to cut straight up the middle because I wanted to make sure I had the correct grain line. And we're just going to go ahead and cut out this and then add as much flare or little flare as you like. You can do whatever style sleeve that you would like for your top, but I wanted to go ahead and try doing a flutter sleeve. I personally like flutter sleeves on my own body compared to some of the other styles or sleeveless. I am getting older, so I'm not quite liking my body as much, but I'm okay with it, if that makes sense. And with the flutter sleeve, you're just going to flare out the bottom of this as much or as little as you would like I said. And for mine, on my personal one, I did quite a bit of flare. Probably not as much as I would like, but I did quite a bit of flare. I need to order some new Scotch tape. This is the shiny type that it's really hard to draw on top of. They didn't have the magic tape the last time that I ordered some. Also, if you would like to get some of this number and letter grid paper, I did purchase mine from Wallach. I don't remember exactly how much it is. I'll put it up here. Now, I am going to go ahead and smooth out the cap of my flutter sleeve because whenever I opened and spread it out, it made it kind of janky. I don't know, is that the correct term? Or is that even appropriate to say now? I don't know. It had little bits and pieces that weren't real smooth, so I wanted to go ahead and smooth it out. And you do need to gather it between the front and back notches. So here you have the cut 2 of the front, cut the back on the fold. Yes, I spelled that wrong. You have the front peplum, the back peplum, and the flutter sleeve. Now, I'm not going into a full tutorial on how to cut out the pattern. This is me trying to cut it out with a different camera and everything, so it's kind of going to jump around and show you how I cut it out, but it's really not a tutorial on how to cut. Probably should have pinned this and used my scissors instead of this rotary cutter. I need to get a new set of blades for my rotary cutter. Now for the sleeve, this is the full-size version. I did not keep the center front, or not center front, the grain line on this one where I could see it real easily, but I tried to make sure I had it about right. It still ended up being okay. Now for the sleeve, you can go ahead and sew the sleeve as fully lined also. I just went ahead and just serged the end of it, serged the hem of it, and then folded it. I was perfectly fine with that. This material that I am using is from Mood Fabrics. I got it in one of the mystery boxes. It is 100% polyester. Very silky, very annoying to work with. Love the print. Absolutely love the print. Hated working with this fabric, but it was from the Mood Mystery Box, which I'll link up above. That video of me actually unboxing it, and it was just a pain to work with. It has a little bit of stretch, which ended up working in my favor. Now, for the ties, I went ahead and made 1-inch ties and then did a buttonhole on one side to pass it through to be able to tie it on my back. You can actually go ahead and do whatever closure you like. I know Bianca has a similar video to this, and you can actually go ahead and do hook and eyes. You can do a bow right there. You can do the bow like I did. But this came out beautiful, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. We will see you again here soon. Bye.